Padak rootling through the tea chests and old suitcases in search of quite interesting odds and ends. And joining me on my rummage are an absolute treasure, Romesh Ranganathan. A collector's item, Liza Tarbuck. A guest of rare antiquity, Matt Lucas. And look who else we managed to dig up. Alan Davis! Right, their buzzers are an assortment of odds and sods. Romesh goes. Bits and pieces, bits and pieces. Lisa goes.
I said I had too much of this and that.
Oh, I like that. Matt goes. These are jolly, aren't they?
They are.
Ah, and Alan goes.
Sex and drugs and rock and roll is very
OK, how's this for openers? What would you open with these? So, let's have a quick look. I've got number one here. Come and have a look.
A door, a lock, or something like
well,
that?
it's going to certainly open something that's difficult to open.
A safe, a suitcase, your heart.
That would be a story, I tell you.
Is it a device for opening two unexploded party poppers?
Oh, I want it to be that.
Yeah.
I see that you're wearing a very fine watch there, Romesh. What do you think it might be?
It's for a watch.
That's why we have you on this show. It's the sharpness of the mind that is so fantastic.
Is it... No.
No. It's the back case cover opener. Yeah. So, for
With a
ladies...
simple action, you can get the things closer together, or indeed further apart.
So you could do a lady's watch or a gentleman's watch.
And also, you can measure the girth of your penis with that.
Maybe you can, mate.
You can measure the length of yours with that.
How did we get there so quickly?
I just don't understand the applause of recognition. Every member of the audience.
Yes.
What? Do you actually know... What do you do?
I'm not sure your watch is worth opening.
Thank you, Sandy.
No,
I feel a bit victimised.
Sorry, I'm sorry.
I don't mind people talking about my penis, but my watch... That's a step too far.
OK, let's have a look at this one. You guys can have a look at that one and see what you think of that.
Well, it's gynecological, isn't it? If we're opening something.
It is opening something, but you may be at the wrong end.
Is that for when you do a heart transplant, keeping the chest open?
So this thing here is also used in the same area. So
now you're talking.
Yeah.
Is it mouthy?
It is mouthy, darling, yes. It's on the mouth side. Do you want to try that? So it's something to do with the mouth.
So it's keeping the mouth...
Yeah. So if you see, Matt, the thing that it's got, it ratchets open, but you would...
Is that right?
Yeah, that is. Yeah.
So what is that for? Turning the mouth into a letterbox or something?
They can edit that
You can't get it out, Sandy, sorry.
It's a cheek retractor. That's exactly how it works. And so is that... No, so don't put that bit in your mouth, darling. That's like a school teacher. Don't put that bit in your mouth, darling. Put the black bit into your mouth, so the middle bit, you put that in.
Well, my mouth isn't that big.
Well, you've got to close it first, the thing.
What, so put that in?
Put it around the other way, I think.
handling that.
The other way?
No.
I usually have someone who looks after me. And they help me out with things like this. I'm a little overwhelmed at this time.
You were heading in the right direction.
What, in there?
Yes,
Yeah.
put that in like that, and then open it up.
This?
Yes.
Oh.
And Yeah, that's exactly. What is the patient's mouth open while they're having dental treatment?
It's the stuff of dreams.
Oh, yeah.
What about this one? Any other thoughts what that is? So it's all about openings.
If I was drunk, I'd say something that I won't say it now.
Oh, go on, treat yourself.
No, I can't possibly.
Are you thinking about a butt plug?
Yes.
Hold on, what are you... You're trying to get into the butt?
Well, it's a dream, isn't it?
Opening.
We had a Secret Santa once, and I
Bloody hell.
And I bought a thing called a backdoor beginner. It's quite a small one.
Why do you want to plug your butt?
Oh, well, basically...
Yes.
Isn't it to do with re-educating the muscle to tighten again?
Oh, re-educating your ass. Mum, I've got a lovely new job. I'm in education.
Is it anything to do with wine?
No, it isn't anything to do with mine. It was still in the human body. In fact, weirdly, we're in exactly the same place as we were before with the mouth thing.
In the mouth?
And so what it is, it's an emergency mouth opener. So say somebody had got lockjaw or there was some reason why they couldn't open their mouth. It is an emergency way of opening the mouth.
Can I advise that you use it as that before you use it as a butt plug?
You've got number 4 there.
Yes.
OK, what do you think that might be? Be very careful. I do not want you to hurt
I
yourself.
believe that is used for injuring panel show contestants.
It's upside down right now. There you go.
It's upside down.
Incredibly heavy.
It's all the straps. It feels like it's something to do with a horse.
It is exactly something to do with a horse.
Thank God.
Yeah, it's an equine mouth opener. It is used by vets to hold the horse's mouth open. Sometimes their teeth need rasping because they get a sort of sharp point with their teeth and it hurts them with the bit.
Yeah.
And so you need to open the mouth and just file it down. So dental work for horses. Come on. Yeah, see, it is quite a sharp. Let's try the next one. Any thoughts about that?
Oh.
It's a piercing for something... What shape is it going into?
Ah, well, that's to put a hole into your bottom if you don't already have one.
Do you know, it looks like a chipolata torturing device. Is what it looks like.
Why would you want to torture a chipolata?
If you're like a militant vegan or something.
Yeah,
like that.
yeah. No, because of that.
This looks quite kitcheny.
It is kitcheny.
Is it for an egg?
No, it isn't. It is an oyster opener, an oyster shucker. So rather than inserting a knife where you can actually hurt yourself, you do it with one. The other thing to do is to go to a nice restaurant and somebody will do it for you, which I think is even easier. On the food front, I have one of these, which I...
hello.
It seems slightly
Is it an
pointless.
egg?
It's an egg opener. So anybody...
No, I'm fine.
Come on,
Where does it do this? There we go.
So you put it round the egg and squeeze it.
Yeah, well, I think you have to squeeze and then twist it off, like a sort of beheading. OK.
Is this going to be a trick egg?
No, darling, honestly, it's just... Give it a turn at the same time. There.
Oh, that is good. It makes the egg look hideous.
Yeah.
So you have to
useful
hold it.
tool.
I have to hold it so tight. I'm glad it was already...
It's the easiest way to do it. What you need to do is you need to break both ends like that, and then you roll it.
Oh, hello.
Like this, and then the shell just comes off unbelievably quickly. See? Like that. And you don't need that...
I love it. They're great, aren't they?
They're very realistic looking, those prop eggs.
It's true.
Very clever.
I don't think that egg was cooked recently, was it?
So that closes openers. And now an odorless question. Where can you find the largest collection of things that don't smell? Matt.
Is it in the sea?
Oh, right. Why do you think that?
Because, I mean, there's salt.
Yes.
But salt doesn't have very strong smell.
No,
No.
and neither do fish, famously.
What I'm proposing,
Yes.
and I'm clever, is that once you're under the water,
Right.
you can't smell. Have you tried to smell under the water, anybody?
That doesn't mean it doesn't smell.
Well, if a tree falls
It's in the forest.
and it doesn't smell,
No.
then, yeah.
We are in the town where I was born.
Copenhagen?
Copenhagen. We're in wonderful, wonderful Copenhagen. What are the things that old statues might lose as they get transported about or over the years? What might they lose?
Fingers.
Private parts.
OK, yes, I was going to, again, go higher, but you've just gone with that side of the thing. Noses. They lose their noses. And so there is the most glorious art museum in Copenhagen. It's called the New Carlsberg Glyptotek, and it contains a nasotek. It is a collection of noses. In the 19th century, museums used to repair them. So there used to be a collection of noses used to repair statues. This was a thing that we don't do anymore, because now we think we should leave the statue exactly as it is.
Have we got any photos from the Penis Museum?
Yes, is the truth of it. Lots of statues lost their penises. That is entirely true.
But that was on purpose, wasn't it?
Due to prudery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so about 80% of the male nude statues in the Vatican gardens are missing their members.
Oh, no, because I just thought I was average. Are you saying they've been taken off?
They've been taken off, and they say there's a secret room in the Vatican that has all of them in it.
Sandy, I've listened to your explanation and
Yes.
I'm still going with Under the Sea.
Well, that's fine, darling. You're just not going to win. So, but bizarrely, the Copenhagen Nasotek is not the only false nose collection in Scandinavia. There's a nose academy at Lund in Sweden, where you can find, supposedly, a plaster cast of the great botanist there, Carl Linnaeus, and the cast of the legendary silver nose of the Danish astronomer Tycho Brahe. There's also an unknown nose, which is a monument to the nose of the common man who didn't qualify for nasal immortality. Nobody knows exactly. If your statue has no nose, it might be found in a museum in Copenhagen. So here's a collection of odd-sounding O words, and I'd like you to pick one and use it in a sentence, please.
A cum spliff? What the... Oh, yeah, a cum spliff.
It doesn't take long. It doesn't take long at all.
Open chops, cum spliff.
Are you doing Uja cum spliff? Is that your one? What is your sentence, please, Alan?
Oh, yeah, cum spliff. It's a Dutchman having a joint in a brothel.
Does it give you
I don't want it. Get it away from me, man.
You'd be no fun in a brothel, would you?
Oh, look at Rom. He doesn't want the cum spliff. What a prude.
Uja cum spliff means all fine and dandy.
Yeah, I bet it does.
Earliest use found in P.G. Woodhouse.
I've got one.
Yeah, go on then, Matt.
Tottenham had their best season for years. They came first in the league. Oh, no, second.
Oh, very good. OK, and a second. So, it's sort of right, actually, because in computing...
Well, it is right. They didn't win anything at all.
No,
They've won nothing for years. They're rubbish.
But actually, your definition for it is not too far off, because in computing what it is, it's the moment you realise you made a mistake. So it is a computing go, oh, no, second.
Oh, right, OK.
I don't think yours is too far off. Come on, Lisa, let's have one from you.
I'm drawn to obsolanium.
OK, it's not a good word. It's waning sexual desire due to age.
I was drawn to it.
It's surrounded by it at the moment.
Oh, it's a hell of a sandwich.
When I change my little boy's nappy, it's full of Otti-Motti and Oozle. Absolutely.
So, Otti-Motti, Lancastrian slang for being perplexed. And Oozle, it's Australian slang to move slowly. Can I oozle along to the baby?
This guy's oozling a little bit.
Open chops, Lancastrian slang for a gossip.
Octodesexcentenary.
OK, that is probably the strangest, I think.
It's the 100th anniversary of when your octopus's penis fell off.
It is a really specific thing. It's something that lasts 592 years. It arose in connection with a particular calendar, the lunar solar calendar, devised by a 17th century mathematician called Thomas Lydiat.
And he thought of the word.
And he thought of the word. It's a very specific word for 592.
I'd have loved him.
Not with your waning sexual desire. Now, brace, brace, brace!
I don't think that's funny. I don't think that's funny.
That hit me on the nose.
That is awful.
But we know where we get another
Fortunately,
one.
we can get oxygen for you and a new nose. You're absolutely right, Lisa. I'll take you to Copenhagen, we'll sort your nose out. So, my question is, what's in the canister on the other end of the pipe that you've got?
Oxygen?
He said it. Yeah, he said it.
said
for me.
it. He said it. 100% he said it.
Quite like hearing all of you as if you're quite a long way away. I've never seen you look better, Matt. That's a really good look for you. I really like that.
Thank you very much.
It is not oxygen.
Not oxygen?
No, it's a mix of chemicals that make oxygen. It's something called an oxygen candle. So it's a very fine white powder, and a spark is generated, and it sets off a chemical reaction which releases oxygen. But these canisters, they're oxides, and they basically take up a whole lot less room than a whole tank of oxygen. I think you both look absolutely fantastic. Typically, an oxygen candle will last 20 minutes, but it's enough time for the plane to get down to where you can breathe the air. But in the early years of commercial flight, so before the pressurised cabin was invented, airline passengers sometimes did have to wear oxygen masks during the actual flight.
That is a great image if you're a nervous flyer, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sort of transferring people to the Hannibal Lecter auditions.
Fighter pilots breathe a mixture of oxygen and air depending on the altitude. And sometimes if they're really high, 100% oxygen is supplied. And then in order to let that happen, the pilot actually has to relax their diaphragm to allow the oxygen to enter, and then they have to forcibly expel the air. And that means they can only talk while they're breathing in.
And they have so much witty banter to get on with
I
the
know.
other pilots,
I
don't
know.
they? Yeah, saying, I'm on his back and I've got your
12 o'clock.
arse.
I know, all of that.
Does it happen automatically for them? They don't have to think about it?
They have to be trained in order to make the diaphragm work properly.
Do they wear nappies? Is that true?
What, they're called MAGs, moisture absorption garments, the nappies that are worn by aircraft pilots and by space people. Astronauts, they're called. Technically called astronauts.
Space people.
Space people.
That's in America. Over here, we call them huggies.
Right, let's give a really hard pull on the pipe and it will... You can get rid of it. There we go. Wonderful. Now, from planes to trains. On which train did the murder on the Orient Express take place?
The Orient Express.
You're a good sport.
You're a very good
Thank you so
sport.
much.
Well, sometimes, you know, they go, yes,
Yes,
that's correct.
is correct.
But never when I say it.
No. The murder took place on an Orient Express, but not the one that you are thinking of. So...
Well, no,
how
we're
do you
thinking
know-
of the one that the murder took place
exactly.
on.
Oh, sorry. I didn't know you lived inside my brain.
Well, there were several train services in the 1930s which included the words Orient Express in the name.
Yeah, and those are the ones we were thinking of.
Well, what is the full name of the one where the murder took place, then?
We were thinking of the one where it took place. We don't have to say the name of it. We just, all of us, demand the points.
Sorry, there were lots of different Orient Expresses. Agatha Christie's took place on the Simplon.
Simplon Orient Express, yes. Yes.
Yes. Named after...
Mr.
Peter
Simplon.
Express, I don't know.
I thought you said Pizza Express.
No, Peter Express, the
Link
inventor
its
of
name to a train.
The Simplon Orient Express, named after the Alpine Tunnel, and that linked Calais and Paris and Istanbul every day. There is a different train service, commonly known as the Orient Express, and that only carried Paris-Istanbul cars 3 times a week.
I didn't even know that one existed.
Have you been on it?
No.
Oh, it's the most marvellous experience. It's absolutely fantastic.
Is it?
Yeah, it really is worth it. It's eye-wateringly expensive, but you get a butler of your own, and I took my mother, it was for her birthday, and the butler came along and he said, "Good evening, madam, my name is Tybalt." And you just think, wow, the guy from Romeo and Juliet is going to service me.
Was there Wi-Fi or 3G on the Orient Express? 'Cause that, for me, is generally the...
No.
That's what they meant. There's no Wi-Fi. It is murder on the Orient Express.
As you go to bed, there's a little tiny hook by your bed, and I said to Tybalt, "What is the hook for?" He said, "That's for your pocket watch, madam."
A watch hook.
A watch hook. But there was an actual murder on the Orient Express.
Was there?
Yes, the actual Orient Express, not the Simplon one. So in 1935, a year after Agatha Christie's novel was published, there was a very wealthy Romanian woman, and she was robbed by a man she was sharing a compartment with, and she was pushed through a window. And I love this, because it is very Agatha Christie. The killer was traced thanks to a silver fox scarf that he had stolen from her. In 1920, a man staggered into a signal box dressed only in his nightshirt, and he claimed he was the French president, Paul Deschanel. and that he'd accidentally fallen from the train. And, of course, they thought he was bonkers. So the signalman replied, and I'm Napoleon Bonaparte. Anyway, it turned out he really was the president of France. In those days, the train sleeping compartments, they had sash windows, and he had taken some sleeping pills and he'd accidentally fallen out of the window.
Do you know the irony is, if they had Wi-Fi, you could have just Googled him.
Yeah.
And he would have solved that straight away.
See?
Yeah.
Think about that.
But he was wonderfully eccentric. He once received the British ambassador to France completely naked except for his ceremonial decorations, which I think is splendid. He was eventually institutionalised in a place for the mentally infirm, and still, and this is a measure of how relaxed the French are, re-elected to the Senate. The Orient Express was developed by a Belgian businessman called Georges Nagelmakers. Made its very first trip in 1883. The first menu on board: oysters, soup with Italian pasta, turbot with green sauce, chicken à la chasseur, fillet of beef with chateau potatoes, chaufroid of game animals, lettuce, chocolate pudding, and a buffet of desserts. And when I was on board for breakfast, we had lobster thermidor, and they laid all the cutlery out, and there was a little sort of strange flattened spoon. And I said, "What's that for?" "That is your lobster gravy spoon, madam." Wonderful. Lobster.
It's completely flat.
It was so that you can scoop all the lobster gravy towards you.
A piece of bread would do that, wouldn't
It
it?
seems like...
Yeah. You're absolutely right. I didn't rush out to buy one.
I imagine a lobster with a couple of spoons. Where's my breakfast?
Here's the odd thing that I know about lobsters. Did you know that lobsters are left and right clawed in the same percentage as human beings are left and right-handed? Yeah.
Yeah.
Stretch? Yeah, sorry. OK. The murder on the Orient Express took place on an Orient Express, but not the Orient Express. So, still on Agatha Christie, naturally, my next question is, who done it?
The killer.
The killer done it.
Yes.
That's a given, I think.
The murderer.
Yeah. Is there any in the audience? The butler! Yeah! So here's a spoiler alert. The butler did not do it in any of Agatha Christie's books. So the three-act tragedy, the murderer appears to be the butler, but it's actually somebody pretending to be a butler. And then there were none. Rogers the butler and his
Hang on a minute, you're going to give them all away and...
Yeah, sorry about that. Murder on the Orient Express, a valet is one of the 12 people who murder Samuel Ratchet, but a valet is not a butler. What's the difference between a valet and a butler?
A valet parks your car.
Yes.
A gentleman's maid.
He's a gentleman's, sort of a gentleman's maid, so he looks after the guy's appearance and everything's
A
okay.
PA.
Yeah, and a butler is the chief male servant in the household, so he's in charge of the other employees and receiving guests and all that kind of thing. The butlers are in demand again. Did you know this? There's a huge demand for butlers, especially in places like China and in Russia. It's known as the Downton Abbey effect. Everybody wants their own Mr. Carson. It takes 10 weeks to train to be a butler at the international...
No, it takes a lifetime.
Yeah.
10
Well, I
weeks.
mean, what task are they performing there? That's insane. Just put the glass on the tray, mate. Common sense, do you know what I mean?
That's Britain's Got Talent backstage.
Yeah, this is just to make it look like they do something, isn't it?
And someone shouting, "Where is the glass? Where is the glass? I don't know where the glass is!"
It is a very old job. The word actually comes from the medieval Latin for a cask, so that's why a beer cellar in medieval times was known as the buttery. People sometimes think it's a place where you made food, but it wasn't at all. It was the place where the wooden casks were. They were in charge of all the bottles. Anyway, when it comes to Christie, the butler never did done it. Here's a list of organs. You all own one of them, but which is it?
Well, I would have thought a sperm stomach...
Yes.
...would have been for a whale.
Oh, OK. It is for an animal. It is, strictly speaking, called a bursa copulatrix. It's not for a whale. Where might you find such a thing? It's tiny, little, tiny.
So it's a bird.
No.
No, but it is... But no, in fairness, it is clearly an animal
Yes.
that flies.
No, he got it. Butterfly. It is a butterfly.
Sandy did a mime. What else could it be?
Yeah, so seriously, it was a butterfly. It's
I thought it was a bunny waving.
It's there. No, that's that. That's a bunny
yeah,
waving.
yeah,
This is clearly a butterfly.
No, that's a bunny waving with its ears. I was using the paws.
Do you know, sometimes I feel unwell on this programme.
Well, you're the ones that invented bunnies that wave with their ears.
You're right, I wasn't thinking it through. That's a ridiculous thought.
Exactly.
It's clearly, but that's that, isn't it?
Clearly.
And this is the... I don't believe I'm doing this. It's the reproductive system for the butterfly, and it digests nutrients from the male's sperm package.
I thought that was the name of the butterfly.
All female butterflies will have a sperm stomach.
Right.
And they get nutrients out of the male sperm, I'm going to say package. But the bit at the bottom that says bursa copulatrix, that's actually the sperm stomach. All right, let's try some more. Let's see. So we're looking for the organ that we have. We do not have a sperm stomach.
Have you got a smart vagina?
It's terribly tidy. I have a woman in twice a week. No, I do not, but some animals do. Every zebra, for example, and they can coordinate the muscular contractions in order to flush out semen if a male fails to live up to expectations. And here's the depressing thing for the boy. The sperm dumping can happen even before the underperforming male has dismounted. She just goes, not having it.
So genetically, she knows that this guy isn't the best she could do.
That's exactly right, Nana.
So
She's
regarding
decided.
babies
Yeah,
and
he's
stuff.
not the best gene pool.
So better to do that than shake him off.
You don't want to cause trouble, do you?
Don't want to make a scene. You might then put off the other zebras and think,
Yeah.
well, she looks tricky.
Yeah.
She's just thrown him over a fence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, mate, I wouldn't bother with her. She's got one of them new-fangled smart vaginas.
So that's probably got Wi-Fi too, hasn't
Yeah, we know.
And are the zebras' sperms stripy?
Yes.
They look like little humbugs.
Yeah.
Just...
So we're still looking for the thing that we have. We don't have a sperm stomach, we don't have a smart vagina. What might we have? One of those.
Have we got a mesentry? A mesentry?
We absolutely do. That is the very thing that we were looking for. We do have a mesentry, and it basically is a fairly recent thing. It connects the intestine to the stomach, and we did not know that it was actually an organ in its own right. So there's a chap called Professor J. Calvin Coffey from the University of Limerick, and he says, without it, you can't live. There are no reported incidents of a Homo sapien living without a mesentry, and nobody entirely knows what it does. We've established anatomy and structure, and the next step is function. Intriguingly, one of the earliest descriptions of this structure was by Leonardo da Vinci, so we've been aware of its existence for an incredibly long time. Let's have a quick look at the other ones. Paddywhack, anybody?
Well, it makes me think of a dog chew.
That is exactly right. Give the dog a bone, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So dried paddywhack is sometimes sold as a dog treat, which is where we get the saying from.
it? Is it something from pig, then?
It's the load-bearing ligament in the neck of sheep or cattle. It connects the head to the spine. And the other two that we didn't have a look at, the schnauzer organ, found on an elephant nose fish. And it looks like a nose. It is actually an extended chin covered in sensors that can detect electric fields. And the organ is so sensitive that the fish can tell the difference between living and dead bugs buried under the seafloor. And the other one, mental glands. It's a pheromone delivery system found in the male salamander's chin. As part of the courtship, the male sprays his scent right into the female's nostrils, and then he deposits a pack of sperm on the ground, and if the female detects his scent with her mental glands and she wants to mate, then she'll pick it up. So she
Oh, that's
picks it up.
nice.
Yes,
That's
it's all
like
sweet.
a sort of Edwardian
Yes.
courtship.
Yes. Madam, my sperm.
Did she then put it in her own vagina?
I think she sorts herself out at that point.
I think it's like...
With a lobster spoon.
Yes, she uses a lobster gravy spoon. Yeah.
Do you want any help with that? Because I've got a couple of these spoons. You could hear them talk if they would come out of the sea, but they stay down there.
They stay down there because it's not smelly. Is that right, Matt?
I don't know where you heard that from. That's weird.
Can anybody define an organ?
Body part that has a function.
That's, you know what, that's sort of it. The governing body for anatomy, the Federative International Programme for Anatomical Terminology, does not define an organ. The best definition that we currently have is from a science historian at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, Tom Broman, who said, any solid thing in the body that does something. Now, what animals begin with O and are rescued more often by the fire brigade than cats? Yes, back.
Is it ostriches because they keep burying their heads in the sand?
So two things are wrong with that.
Right.
One is they don't bury their heads in the sand.
Well,
that is,
I am not wrong.
No. Yes.
I think it is an opossum.
The audience said owls. Did you hear
Owls.
them?
Did we have owls?
Is it ocelot?
No.
Is it? Let's try this one on them.
Yeah.
Is it the four-legged onion? Aha! You didn't get that, did you? Aha!
No, but it is not the four-legged
Right,
onion.
OK.
It's a human animal. It's an obese person. They've now rescued.
What a beast.
They are still people! Well, once they get to a certain weight, they're no longer human, as far as we're concerned.
We're all part of the animal kingdom, and it is obese people. There were more than 900 such cases from January to September in 2016, up from around 30 cases 10 years ago.
Well done for getting up the trees, though.
No, it's people not being able to leave their home.
Yeah.
I just saw there were loads of apples!
How did you get up there? Trampoline! It was a trampoline! They moved it now. Now it looks like a miracle, but it was a trampolining incident.
A man in Porth Crawley weighed 38 stone, and they were trying to get him out of the third floor, and a Sea King helicopter was scrambled from RAF Chibnall in Devon so he could be winched from a skylight. I think the most famous, possibly, an American man called Walter Hudson. He was rescued by the American Fire Department in 1987 after he got wedged in his bathroom door. It is estimated that he weighed 1,400 pounds, but it's only an estimate because the industrial scale that he was being weighed on broke after 1,000 pounds, so we don't know exactly.
Wait a minute, that's 100 stone.
Yes, yes. 1,400 pounds.
Oh, that's 100 stone, yeah.
100 stone. Yeah.
It's like 100 stone. That
He held the Guinness World Record for the world's largest waist. If you hold that end, and you hold that, that would have been the size of his belt. I've got a description of his average daily diet. 2 boxes of sausages, a pound of bacon, 12 eggs, a loaf of bread, 4 hamburgers, 4 double cheeseburgers, 5 large portions of fries, 3 ham steaks or 2 chickens, 4 baked potatoes, 4 sweet potatoes, most of a large cake and additional snacks. And an average of 6.5 litres of soda every single day.
Well, at least he didn't finish the cake.
It's good to look on the bright side of things. What do you think is the fattest animal in the world?
Why did you look at me when you asked that question?
Are you talking about body fat percentage or actually amount of fat?
Yeah, body fat percentage.
Oh, well, that could be a tortoise, because they hibernate. That's it.
Yeah, but they don't hibernate, turns out.
No.
Don't they?
So for years, people were putting them in boxes and putting them in the cupboard under the stairs, and they were just in solitary confinement.
No, it's called an army cutworm moth, and they can achieve 72% body fat. It makes them the fattest animals on Earth, and they live in Yellowstone National Park, so it's not always cold there, but they do get themselves ready for the winter and store up the body fat, and then the bears eat them.
What, the bears eat them while they're hibernating?
They gorge on them just before winter sets in, so one bear can eat up to 40,000 moths in a day. So each moth is about 1 inch or 2 inches long, and each one is about half a calorie.
That'd be a much more sinister John Lewis Christmas ad, wouldn't it? Just a bear feasting on tubby moths. Do you know what I mean?
Thousands of them.
They eat loads and lots of nectar from wild flowers. They're known as miller moths, that's their nickname, because the fine scales in its wings, it rubs off easily. It reminds people of the dusty flower covering on a miller. But you can see them in Yellowstone National Park. Yes, boo-boo. Hey, boo-boo.
I always thought Yogi and Boo Boo were the right pair of pricks. Like, they're supposed to be the heroes. It's just little thieves, just going around robbing, and then we're supposed to support them. You're out of order.
Idle thieves. A lot of American humour's about that. Shucksters and shysters and idle thieves. They all like it. They kind of revere that person who doesn't get a proper job but gets by. So they love a criminal.
They voted one in, didn't they?
Yes.
I'm a political satirist now. I'm going to just stay here until it's news night.
did we get to? Picnic baskets. Picnic basket?
Thief! In the first episode, someone could have just come and shot them.
Boo-boo, it's getting dark. I'm losing blood, Boo-boo.
Don't go to sleep, Yogi! Don't go to sleep!
I don't think I'm gonna make it, Boo-boo. I can see a great big picnic basket in the sky, Boo-boo.
Wow.
Next week, funeral.
I wish you two were in charge of children's BBC. Now we crash through the floorboards and land in the mess of plaster insulation that is general ignorance. Fingers on buzzers, please. Where are your fattest fat cells?
Well, I suppose you want us to say on your stomach.
Yes, and you'd be right.
Yes.
So, well, you're absolutely right. As people get obese, what happens is the fat cells in our midriff, they don't proliferate, they just get fatter. So the fat cells in our thighs can multiply, but the ones that we have around our midriff, they just get fatter. Now, you don't really want to have belly fat, because what we now know about it is that it's actually biologically active belly fat. It is releasing hormones into your system, and that could increase your risk of heart disease and so on. So you don't want to get more of them, because they're incredibly bad for you. So they did a study, the NHS. 91% of mothers and 80% of fathers of overweight children mistakenly think that their children are a healthy weight.
Well, I'm the exception, because all my mum does is say, well, you need to shift some of that. She says it to me a lot. And then she just keeps trying to make me eat more food.
Is she a feeder?
Yeah, she puts the food down and she goes, right, there's more chicken, I've got more peas, I've got more potatoes, I've got more... She's just like that, even before I've had the first lot, and then at the end she goes, what are we going to do about that? I say, well, I won't come here again. No.
My mum did exactly... She used to give me so much food when I was, like, going to school. Like, she'd give me, like, jam sandwiches, not for lunch, for break time, right? And the school became concerned and phoned my mum and said, look, we're a bit worried about it. And you know what she did? She told me to hide when I was eating my jam sandwiches.
That's good parenting.
Yeah.
That is really very good parenting. From the fattest to the flattest, what's the most featureless place on Earth?
Ooh, well...
So where were you when you talked about things that don't smell? Where did you go when you talked...
Under the sea.
So that is where we're going to go. We're going to go under the sea. It is something called the abyssal plains, and it's undersea areas of sediment, and their slopes can be really shallow. I mean, unbelievably shallow, like 1 foot in 1,000. And what happens is the sediments wash off the land, and over time they spread out to form a smooth and level surface. And it's home to the world's deepest fish that you get right down at the bottom.
Oh, those are really free... Oh, yeah.
Now you're talking.
Yeah.
Mate.
I mean, these are anglerfish, you can see there. I think they are
God, that one in the
astonishing.
middle, just looking through your window.
And they're really deep, so you can really, like, talk to them about, like, real issues.
The deepest fish ever seen was in the Mariana Trench, which is, of course, the deepest part of the ocean. There are some pictures of them, but nobody's ever been able to catch one because it is so deep down. We think it looks a bit like a snailfish, but the people who have actually seen them say it is really weird looking. There's a team that found it at the University of Aberdeen, and Alan Jameson said it's unbelievably fragile, and when it swims, it looks like it has wet tissue paper floating behind it. It has a weird snout, like a sort of cartoon dog snout, so it might look a bit like that.
Do you reckon it went that deep because the other fish were bullying it?
Yeah.
Look, got tissue paper hanging out your arse, mate.
Yeah. Have a quick look at this, which is my favourite fact about the Pacific. So I've got my globe here, so you can see how large the Pacific is, covers this enormous area. There is a point in the Pacific where if you drilled down through the centre of the Earth, so that is off the coast of Vietnam near Haiphong, and you came back out exactly on the other side, you would still arrive in the Pacific. You'd be off the coast of South America at the Chile-Peru border. That just gives you some idea. That is exactly halfway right through the whole planet, that the Pacific is that big.
I love it. I love it when a fact's pointed out to you, and you don't have to have this whole mass of stuff.
Yes, but this is rather fine, isn't
Yeah,
it? It's
No,
rather
I don't
astonishing.
think it is. I think you're going to get very little for that on eBay, because you've completely ruined it.
The most featureless place on Earth is underwater. Who invented this, and what does it say?
I'm going to have to say Morse, aren't I?
You are going to have to say Morse. I think it is It's probably the most famous Morse code signal ever sent.
SOS? Is it 3 dots and 3 dashes?
No, it's CQD that is being sent. It's the Marconi distress message that was sent from the Titanic. People now say it means come quick drowning, but that's what you call a backronym. In fact, CQ was for the French sécurité, and then Marconi added the D for distress. So we have a distressing security issue. But the issue about Morse code is that it isn't really a code and that Morse didn't really invent it. It involved transmitting numbers, Morse code, which you then looked up in a special dictionary to see what word they represented. And it was Morse's colleague, this man here, Alfred Vail, who came up with the idea of using letters and assigning dots and dashes to each one. So probably Morse code should be called Vail's code, but actually it should be Vail's cipher. So we had a letter from a QI viewer, Phil Boyd, and he pointed out that a code replaces whole words with symbols and a cipher replaces individual letters. So strictly speaking, Morse code ought to be called Vail's cipher. What I like about Morse code, it has been used for naughtiness. In January 1945, the people of Halifax, Nova Scotia, complained to police that people were using their car horns to communicate vile and filthy language in Morse code. And there was a report in the Ottawa Journal saying that police are brushing up on their Morse code in preparation for a campaign against these swearing motorists. So, Morse code should really be Vail's cipher. How many moons did the Earth have? So we've covered how many moons Earth has many times on QI. We're looking at the past here.
10.
Yes.
None.
There is new research which suggests that our current moon is the result of about 20 separate moons that have coalesced into one over millions of years. So since the moon and the Earth are made of rather similar materials, it is thought that the moon formed when an object hit the Earth and it sent debris up into space. And they've run thousands of simulations and they concluded there were lots of moons, at least 20, each one formed from a different collision. So it is possible that we originally had 20 moons.
So where have all the moons gone, then?
They've coalesced into one. So
they're all one big moon?
They've been drawn together, yeah. The Earth had 20 moons, but now has only approximately one. All of which shines a silvery light onto the darkness, which is the scores. Oh, this is tragic. In last place, with minus 52, Alan. Thank you so much. Also, a quite phenomenal minus 36, Liza! And minus 29, Romesh! You've done it, Matt. You've done it. With a magnificent minus 7, you are the winner! Takes home our objectionable object of the week, and it's this weird device for holding a horse's mouth open while you fix its teeth. There you are, Matt. That's for you. Wow, it's heavy. Congratulations. Thank you. It only remains for me to thank Liza, Matt, Romesh and Alan, and I leave you with this from a Randy Scandi Norwegian Nobel Prize winner Knut Hamsun. When returning from his first trip to Paris, a friend asked, "At the beginning, didn't you have trouble with your French?" "No," replied Hamsun, "but the French did." Merci bien et bonne nuit.